Hi, Shoshi here. I am going to be answering Costube's 2021 21 questions. This has been put together by Stephanie, Mariska, and Katie. So let's go! What is your favorite genre of costuming? Historical costuming. I currently mostly do late 18th century, but I'd like to get into many more eras in the future. What originally got you into costuming? Google, mostly? I would literally Google medieval dress, not knowing the difference between medieval and other time periods, and Google would show me everyone's lovely blogs, and I would sit and look at pictures of old clothing for hours. Who taught you your crafts? My mother, actually. My mother taught me to sew when I was too young to remember it. I have no memory of learning to hand sew. I am quite good at it though, so she must have taught me well. Towards the end of high school, I did some sewing courses, and that's where I learned how to make garments and pattern things. And then historical costuming I learned online and from books mostly. Which era or genre would you still like to make a costume of? When I finish my 1790s, I really want to do 1910s, 1780s, 15th century, late 17th century mantua, 1860s, princess line, 1950s, maybe some ancient stuff. I'd like to do some fantasy stuff, maybe Lord of the Rings, but that's probably in the far future. The list goes ever on and on, down from the road where it began. How many pieces are lurking in your UFO bin? I have a skirt that is all ready and just waiting for so many buttonholes to be put in it. I have a dress that I will probably never finish because it just doesn't fit well and never did, so it's in my UFO pile, but it might be in the garbage soon. What skill would you like to learn? Ooh, lacemaking. To drape or to draft? Or commercial pattern? Well, I actually have a video about draping versus drafting and you can go check it out. But most of the time I prefer to drape if possible. I just often find it more accurate to the way the body works. And usually afterwards I do adapt stuff with drafting. I have never used a commercial pattern before, so I don't know how they work. Sorry. What are your favorite materials to work with? Taffeta? Satin? Linen. Pins or pattern weights. Pattern weights where possible. I find pins often warp the fabric while you're trying to cut it out. What project taught you the most? Probably my first pair of stays. I had no idea what I was doing there, and basically I made up a pattern and then just made so many alterations to it to kind of try to emulate what I was seeing online, but I had no idea what I was doing, so it was all just guesswork. And while it's not perfect at all, I'm happy that I got to learn how to fit 18th century stays by trial and error. What's the best sewing tool you ever invested in? Sharp scissors and also pre-waxed thread. Saves so much time and effort. Disappearing marker. I used to mark everything with pencils and chalk and it would just never come out. So now I love that I have a marker that I know will disappear without any trace and I could mark all the things. Most useless sewing tool you ever invested in. Probably one of those rolly thingies you use to mark patterns. I have not as of yet figured out how to use that. Most satisfying technique? Felling. Do you pick a project and then procure materials? Or do you collect materials and let them speak to you? Both, actually. I am currently thinking of both all the projects I want to do that I don't have materials for, and all the materials that are sitting in my drawer that I don't have a plan for. Do you have any bad sewing habits? Well, I used to sew without a thimble, and then basically I would be using the wrong finger to push the needle through the fabric. And now, since I use a thimble, I use the middle finger to do that. But until I actually started using a thimble, I didn't know that I needed to do that. So basically what I'm saying is, if I still have any bad habits, I don't know about them. Scissors or rotary blade? Scissors. I have not as yet figured out how to use a rotary blade. What is your dream event? I really want to organize a costuming event that is local to me, in which people can showcase all the costumes they make from all the different eras and places. Machine sewing, barefoot, socks, or shoes on the pedal? Yes. Do you sew over pins or take them out as you go? Usually I sew over them. I pin perpendicular to the seam and sew over them. But if I really need them to be parallel to the seam, like in corset seams, then I take them out as I go. What are your goals and plans moving forward? Well, I'd like to finish my 1790s outfit and then proceed to all the other eras under the sun. What do you like watching and listening to while sewing? YouTube, actually. A lot of film dissection channels and a bunch of Costube, of course. On that note, why don't you go watch the rest of the 21 questions playlist in the card and in the description, where you can get to know a lot of Costubers and hear them answering these questions. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell to see notifications for future videos. Until next time, bye!